In this video, we're going to take a look at how weighted grading works both in theory and in PowerSchool. To begin, we'll take a look at a visual representation. In this example, we're going to take a couple of homework assignments, quizzes, and projects. In this particular case, the details don't actually matter. We're just looking at the fact that there's a few homework assignments, a few quizzes, and some projects. For this example, we will arbitrarily choose that homework is going to constitute 25% of the grade, that quizzes will constitute 5%, and that projects will constitute 70%. Effectively, that means that all of the homework assignments, whether there are 3 or 7 or 25, will count for 25% of the student's overall grade. No more, no less. The same goes for the quizzes, except the quizzes collectively will count only as 5% of the student's grade. Again, it does not matter whether there is 1 quiz, 5 quiz, or 15 quizzes. We are setting this calculation up to render those quizzes as 5% of the student's overall grade. And finally, again, in this example, we're going to set all of the projects for this particular class equal to 70% of the student's grade. In theory, those 3 components then will constitute exactly 100% of the student's grade. So now let's take a look at an actual calculation using real numbers. Here's an example of some assignments that this student has completed in this course. We will begin by looking at the homework portion of the weighted grading. The homework earned by this student adds up to 26 total points out of a possible 35. In this particular category, then the student has earned an overall homework percentage, which is really just the ratio between those two, of 74.2%. Where this becomes a little bit complicated is that 74.2% now has to be a quarter, or 25%, of the student's overall grade. So effectively, we're looking for, okay, how much is 25% of that 74.2? To do that, we're simply going to multiply the 0.25 by the 74%, and that gives us a value of 18.5. So at this point, the student has earned 18.5% of their overall grade for the entire course. Now we'll repeat that process with the quizzes. This student has earned 550 possible quiz points, and the total amount of quiz points available was 600. So this student's quiz percentage is again the ratio of those two, which in this particular case accounts for 91.7%. Now we have to do the exact same process as we did for the homework. Quizzes in total are only going to constitute 5% of this student's overall grade. So what we're really interested in is exactly how much, or better yet, how much is 5% of that 91.7. We'll multiply 0.05 times the 91.7, and that gives us an earned percentage of 4.6. So all the work that this student did on their quizzes gets them up 4.6% in the course. It should be noted that one of the advantages of the weighted grading system is that these particular quizzes have way more points than the homework, and yet the overall percentage is controlled by that initial percentage that was set up for the quiz category. Right? There are 600 points in this quiz category, but the quizzes are set to only 5% of the overall course grade. And finally, we'll take a look at the project percentage. Here, the student has earned 70 points in the category that has 90 points. So the student's overall project average is the ratio of those two, which is 77.8%. But the project category is the bulk of this student's grade, 70%. So at this point, we're interested in finding out how much is 70% of that 77.8, what the student earned. To do that, we're going to multiply the 0.7 times the 77%, and that gives us 54.5%. So the student's project category is going to add 54.5% to their grade. At this point, we know exactly how much the student has earned in all three of our main categories for this class. To find the overall grade, we're going to now add these three percentages. They have 54.5% earned in their projects, 4.6% earned in their quizzes, and 18.5% earned in their homework. When added together, this constitutes a total of 77.6% in the course. This would be the student's overall grade using this weighted grading system. Let's now take a look at setting this up in Powerteacher. Within Powerteacher, there are two parts to getting a weighted grading system up and running. The first part is to establish your categories and their respective percentages within the quarter terms. Within the gradebook, switch over to the Grade Setup screen and then double-click on any one of the quarters to bring up the grading calculation method for that quarter. Here we're going to set category weights. At this point, we need to dictate which categories will earn what percentages or weights within this quarter. In this example, we're adding homework, projects, and quizzes. So we'll mark those three. Once your categories have been added, it's now a matter of adding the weights for each of those categories. In our example, we did 25% as homework, we did 5% as quizzes, and we did 70% as projects. As you enter in the weights, you'll notice that the percentage is automatically displayed. These percentages are simply ratios of the weights that you enter. So if you enter your weights as percentages, they should match perfectly. Once this is set, be sure to save your work so that that category weighting is applied to that term. Once that's done, you can then use the copy function here to apply that same weighting to the other quarters within the year. Once you save your work, switch back to your score sheet. At this point, your gradebook is actually calculating students' grades according to your weighted grading setup. Be aware that the second step in actually using the weighted grading system within your gradebook is to make sure that all assignments have categories applied to them. You can double-click on the assignment name to see which category is assigned to that particular assignment. Assignments assigned to a category that carries weight will impact students' grades. In this particular example, homework, projects, and quizzes are included in the weighted category calculation. If this assignment is switched to an ungraded category, then this assignment will not impact students' overall grades. Once your weighted calculation has been set up for one course, you can then repeat the process for any other courses that are listed in your gradebook.